Hello everybody, today is the Victoria Day holiday here in Canada, and that is what the theme for today's episode of Northern Vinyl Guy is all about. So stay tuned and we will see you on the flip side. Hello everyone, I am Daryl the Northern Vinyl Guy. It's been a few weeks since I've done a video here, and I thought that today, seeing that it is Victoria Day, a holiday that has been celebrated in Canada for well over 150 years, I believe. I think it's been celebrated here since 1840 or so, basically in celebration of Queen Victoria, who was the queen up until 1901, a reign of 63 years. It made lots of change in the, royalty system and things of that nature. And so we celebrate it here in Canada. It is a day off for most people across the country, I do believe. And so what I've chose to do for this video is I am going to show some records that I have in my collection that make me think of kings and queens and royalty and things like that. And I am going to, I know everybody just gets a little threaded out, but I'm going to make a thread out of this. So if you are interested, we've got lots of members in the VC that are either from the UK, the United States, Japan, Denmark, Scandinavia, places like that in which royalty has had some kind of an impact over time. And of course, before we get into it, yes, the United States has not had kings or queens. However, back in the 1700s, when, there was all that reigning for becoming an independent nation, the British had some kind of an impact in the United States. So without further ado, here we go. I hope that you all give it a try. But I'll kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So speaking of this, if we are talking about Queen Victoria and we are talking about kings and queens as a theme here, well, it goes without saying that I should be showing Queen as kind of the way to kick off this thread. This theme, Queen, of course, great British band, and this is their greatest hits album, has all of the main hits on here. Another One Bites the Dust, Bohemian Rhapsody, Fat Bottom Girls, Killer Queen, Bicycle Race, Under Pressure, and more. Now, speaking of queens, why don't we take a look at Gentle Giant here, and there is a track on this particular Gentle Giant album. This is an old album that I have, but if you look right over here, it is a song called The Queen. So, yeah, little prog rock, kind of a weird style, but I really like this album. I know it's not for everyone, but yeah, Gentle Giant and The Queen. And of course, speaking of the UK, that is on the Vertigo label. All right, now, if we are going to be talking about kings, we're going to be talking about royalty, why don't we take a look at ABBA and the Voulez-Vous album. And there is a song on here called The King Has Lost His Crown. Right there. The King Has Lost His Crown. So, yeah, a little bit of all kinds of royalty stuff in that particular sentence. So, kings, crowns, if you have any albums that represent those types of themes, then that would be great. And, of course, this is on the Atlantic label. All right. Now, kings and queens, when they have children, of course, they have prince or princesses. And here we go. Here is Prince, and I always forget the name of this particular album, but Around the World in a Day. There we go. And of course, this is the one that has Paisley Park and Raspberry Beret. But yeah, Prince. But what about princesses? Well, how about the kind of funk, jazz, prog, jazz pop band Deodato, and this is Deodato 2. And this is Pavane for a Dead Princess. Pavane for a Dead Princess right there on the Deodato 2 record. And well, it's got kind of a bit of a cool label right there. All right, now what about the Crash Test Dummies? I do have Crash Test Dummies, and of course in a theocratic monarchy, you would be celebrating God at the hierarchy there, but of course you got to have some protection, and you've got the knights, or two knights and maidens here by the Crash Test Dummies. So knights and maidens, all part of that royalty topic. And that is on the Arista label. All right, but where do royals live? Well, they live in palaces and they live in castles. So Emerson, Lake and Palmer, pictures at an exhibition, but there is a track on here called The Old Castle. So there we go. We got the castle here, places where they live. But what about palaces? Well, how about Tom Jones and Live at Caesar's Palace? Royalty palaces. There you go. Caesar's Palace. Well, when I think of royals, I think of them being rich. I think of the whole concept of money. And what a better way to celebrate that than Dire Straits. And of course, their album Brothers in Arms. But of course, why am I showing this? Well, it's going to be a little bit hard to see, but Money for Nothing is on here. Money for Nothing. And Your Chicks for Free. So I think royalty, I think money, I think riches. This is on that particular Vertigo label. But if we're going to go a little bit further with riches, well, I think wealth. And when I think wealth, I think Taylor Swift. And there's no songs or tracks on here. So why did I pick this? Well, as part of the thread. She is worth, the last I checked, her net worth is $1.6 billion. The last I checked, the monarchy in the UK was around 750 million pounds. So she's pretty much worth more than the kings and queens in the UK. All right, and there's going to be two more albums here to top this off. And when I think of royalty and I think kings and queens and all that kind of stuff, I think silver and I think gold. And, why not show Humble Pie? Nice silver looking cover. Nice and shiny there. This is the Town and Country album. But if that doesn't fancy you, then why don't we take a look at, here we go, Silver and Silver Tongue. There on side B, Humble Pie. And we will finish this off with, here we go, the King himself, Elvis Presley, and a Canadian tribute. Of course, he's all blinged up with his nice outfit. And so why am I picking gold on this one? Well, this is the Canadian Gold tribute, but I thought it was fitting that this particular album here is a nice gold album. So there we go. We have gold, we've got silver, we've got knights, we've got kings, we've got queens, we've got princesses, we've got castles and palaces and everything else in between. So I hope that you all enjoyed this thread video. It was a lot of fun doing this video. And I encourage you all to jump on board. I hope that that we do see some videos about this. Of course, my friends in the United Kingdom here in the VC, they are definitely impacted by royalty and kings and queens and all that good stuff. Of course, down under in Australia, they've been impacted by the royalty and the British throughout their history. Other parts of the world, my VC friends in Japan and in Scandinavia, you've had royalty running your nations throughout history as well. And of course, us here in Canada, we have been impacted by the British for, centuries. And of course, my friends to the south of me in the United States, before, the Americans became the United States of America, they were impacted by British royalty as well. And the rest of the world has also been impacted by it. So, I don't want to exclude anyone, so I'm not going to give any particular names, but I encourage you all to try to give it some thought on doing this thread. You could show albums with kings and queens or bands with kings and queens, of course, princesses, castles, palaces, wealth, riches, silver, gold, and more. So I hope that you all jump on board. And until next time, I am Daryl the Northern Vinyl Guy, and take care.